All right, class, today we're going to be talking about solving systems of equation by elimination. And the first thing I kind of want to talk about is the idea of adding. When you were in elementary school, you added vertically. So you added all your ones together, and you added all your tenths together. You're going, vertically to get your answer. You're kind of doing the exact same thing. You want to be adding all your x's and your y's. Make sure that you're adding things or variables that are similar to each other. So when we look at question A, what is the solution to the system below? You want to basically figure out, all right, what is the x value? What is the y value? And we have to do that by doing the elimination method. And the elimination method is exactly what it sounds like. You are eliminating a variable because you cannot solve an equation if you have two unknown variables. You kind of have to figure out what one is. And this is a way, this is a method to solve it. And let's begin with this example here. Step one, you want to make sure both equations are written in standard form. I understand that you guys are seeing here two negatives. That's fine, as long as I have my x's on top of my x's, my y's on top of my y's, and my constant on top of my constant. Okay, so you're fine right now. Then step two is the one that's a little bit difficult. This is the one where this is a new idea. You want to multiply one or both equations by the same number to get coefficients of one of the variables that are opposites. So what does that mean? Basically, I want one number that has to be a negative sign, or the coefficient has to be a negative, and the other has to be positive because I'm trying to eliminate. When you have negative 3 plus 3, these two eliminate and you get 0. So this is kind of the idea of what I'm trying to do, but with systems of equations. So give me a second. I'm going to write this equation over on the right hand side. Okay, so I have written this exact equation on the right because I need to show my work, and yes, I'm going to need all that space. So get used to trying to have like scratch paper on the side to solve these types of problems. Alright, so I'm trying to eliminate one variable. It could be the x or the y. I'm going to choose y, for example, and then I'll explain why. This number is already negative. That means that I just have to multiply this number by one number so that I can get the inverse of 12y. So the number, because I want to get something like this where I get negative 3 plus 3, I want the opposite. So the number I need to multiply to this equation is positive 2, because if I multiply this by positive 2, I will get negative 12y, and that will help me cancel out this variable or eliminate the variable. Remember, the whole goal of this is to eliminate on my first step. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to multiply this entire equation by 2. So remember how we looked at converting literal equations where we divided every term by the denominator, or every term by -1. We have to do the exact same thing. We need to keep the equations balanced. So I'm going to multiply this term by 2, this term by 2, and this term by 2. Again, this is just so that I can eliminate this middle term right here. Okay, so this is what it's going to look like. 2 times -4 is -8x. 2 times -6y is -12y equals -24. Now all I'm going to do now is copy the equation at the bottom, the second one, so that I can continue eliminating. Okay. Step 3. You want to add both equations together. It's always the addition property. Okay. So we're going to be adding them just like what we did in elementary school. Now we are going to add our x's together. So negative 8x plus negative x is negative 9x. Then we have negative 12y plus 12y. That cancels out. That's what I wanted because I only want to solve one variable at a time. Can't do that if I have both. So that cancels out. Then I'm left with negative 24 minus 30, which gives me negative 54. Okay, I know it looks a little weird with that extra space in there, but just know that now that's what you wanted. You wanted a variable and then a number at the end. And then we want to just use the division property of equality. Divide both sides by negative 9. And x equals 6. So there's one variable. So I have step 1, I have step 2, and I have step 3. Now step 4, once you get that variable, you want to substitute the value from step 3 into either of the original equations to solve for the other variable. Okay, I know it's a lot right now. So not only are you solving for one of the variables, now we're going to use the substitution method, or the substitution of 6 into one of our equations to get the y value, because I need to write my answer as an ordered pair down here. But right now I only have this 6. Okay, I need my other one. So I'm going to go back up to the top, and I'm going to try to figure out which equation I want to use. That's part of the original problem, so the problem that I was given. I'm going to plug in 6 somewhere in there, and I'm thinking, it doesn't really matter which one because you are going to get the same answer. I will go ahead and do the first one. So let me write that down below here. Alright, I'm going to do a little squiggly line so I can show you. Negative 4, x is 6, so I'm going to substitute 6 in for x, minus 6y equals negative 12. Okay, so then I just do the substitution. Minus 24, y equals negative 12. And I get y equals negative 2. So I have both my x and my y. I am good to go. Now, I'm going to show you guys how to check your work in your calculator. It's kind of the same idea what we did in the previous notes where we were substituting x and y values into equations. Okay, I went ahead and split my screen here so you can see easily what I'm doing. So I'm basically going to try to plug these numbers into both of these equations to show you that it's actually true. So this is how I'm going to do it. Negative 4 parentheses x, which what I found out was 6. Okay, then I'm going to minus 6 parentheses y, and that y is negative 2. Oops, I need to use the negative sign. And then close the parentheses. I have to get negative 12 if I did it correctly, and so far I did. But I have to check the next equation. I can't just assume that I did it correctly from the first one. So I'm going to do the next one. Negative parentheses 6 plus 12. Oops. Let me do that again. Sorry, guys. I accidentally clicked enter. Okay, so let me start again. Plus 12 parentheses my y value, which is negative 2. Make sure I use the negative sign. The computer doesn't like that button. And I get negative 30. So I know that I got this question right because my equations are balanced. So that's how you can check your equation when you are solving these at home. Okay, so I can finally write my answer as 6, negative 2. Okay, so that's basically it. I'm going to kind of speed through the next of the problems, but you guys can pause this video at any time so that you can understand fully what we're doing with elimination. It's kind of hard at first, but I promise you with practice you can get it. But yeah, so we can go ahead and start with the we tries. Alright, so for the we tries, I made sure that these are in standard form. Basically, I just want x's on top of x's, y's on top of y's, constants on top of constants. So I want to eliminate one of these variables, and I kind of look for a number that's already negative and a number that's already positive. So right now I'm going to eliminate my x. It doesn't matter which letter you eliminate first, you will get the final answer at the end. But for this one, I'm going to show you that if I choose x, I'm still going to get the correct answer. Okay, so I want to figure out a number. So if I have sorry, let me erase that. If I'm adding, because remember in systems we're adding, if I have a number plus 2, this is the number that I'm trying to figure out, a number plus 2, and I want to get 0 because I'm trying to eliminate, that number is -2. That's the number I'm trying to get to. So what I'm going to do is multiply the top equation by 2, because if I multiply the top equation by 2, I will be able to get this number, or this variable, to be -2. That way I can eliminate and get 0. So again, let me explain that to you guys. If I multiply by 2, because my whole goal is to eliminate a variable, this will become -2, and I know from this example on the side that -2 plus 2 equals 0. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to eliminate the variable. One of them has to be a positive number and the other one has to be a negative number. That when I eliminate, they cancel out. Okay, so I'm going to write my new problem down below here. So that's my top equation. Notice I distributed the 2 to everything inside the parentheses. Then I'm just going to copy down this second equation right below it. Okay, that was step 1 and step 2. Step 3 is now we add them. So if I add -2x plus 2x, that becomes 0. That's exactly what I wanted. 4y plus y equals 5y. 6 plus 4 is 10. So my y value is 2. That's one of them. But I'm going to make sure I check at the end. Then my step 4 was to substitute this value into any of the original equations so that you can get your x value. I'm going to go ahead and choose the second one because I really didn't do anything with the second one yet, so might as well try. And I'm going to substitute 2 parentheses. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I'm trying to find. 2x plus. I'm going to plug in that 2 in there. I don't need parentheses because there is no negative sign or no exponent, so I'm just going to write 2 equals 4. And then just solve. X equals 1. So the final last step is just to make sure you did it correctly by substituting into your equation. So here we go. I'm going to plug these numbers into the original equation. X is 1 plus 2y. You can ignore this stuff. This is just showing you all the buttons I'm pushing. And then 2. I need to get 3, which I do. I know I got that one right, so gotta check the next one. 1 plus y, which is 2. I need to get 4, and I do. So that's how you know you did it correctly. Okay. So you can go ahead and try the next one. You can decide which number you want to eliminate. Just know that you want one of them to be positive and the other one to be negative. Alright, so hopefully you've tried B, and I just want to let you know, heads up, that I'm going to be eliminating y because 7 is positive and -3 is already negative, so I just need to find a common multiple between these two so that I could just eliminate it. So I'm going to do that right now. So with this one, I've already kind of figured out that the number is 21 that I'm trying to figure out. If I have a positive 21 plus a negative 21, that's going to cancel out. So in the directions it said that you can either multiply one or both of your equations, and I'm going to show you what happens when you multiply both. Notice how I have parentheses around the different equations. Actually, I'm going to use a different color here so that you guys can see in a second, like distinguish between the two different equations. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute for you guys. I'm going to pause it and I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay, I distributed both the 3 to the top equation and the 7 to the bottom equation, and I have the two equations in the new color so that you can see which one is what. And now I'm going to add. So the first one, I'm going to get 29x. This cancels out. Equals, let me get my calculator. I get negative 232. And then all I got to do now is divide by 29. X equals -8. Alright, so I have my first one. My x value. Now I'm going to substitute it into any of the original equations. Notice how I said original, not one of these pink or salmon color. I'm going to use one of the ones in the original ink. Okay, so I'll use the first one. Why not? I'm going to plug in -8 into x so that I can get my y value. So I'm going to pause the video to see, just to save time. Okay, so I wrote down my equation. I'm going to write, now I'm just going to solve for y. 7y equals 49. Y equals 7. So I got my 7. Now, last step, just make sure you did it correctly. So I'm going to plug these numbers into the original equation. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to plug in these numbers into the first one. And put 5 parentheses, -8 plus 7y, parentheses 7, I need to get 9, boom, there you go, 2 parentheses, -8, this is the second equation, -3, I need to get a -37, and I did, so that's how I know I did my question correctly. So if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to ask me. I would like you guys to, you know, try the ones on the back on your own. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Good luck solving systems using the elimination method.